just keeps going. It just keeps going.
See him.
All right, let's call this commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Campbell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Semaglia.
Here.
Commissioner Vignola.
Present.
Commissioner Daly.
Here.
Commissioner Carter.
Present.
Deputy City Manager Heller.
Present.
City Attorney Hearn.
Here. Okay, folks, if we could, let's take a moment of silence. Thank you, and that was truly a moment of silence. Yes. I think it was the most silent we've been. And we have Haley Black, who is a fifth grader at Riverside Elementary, who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Haley, I have something for you.
Oh.
One over here. Your dad's going to get a picture. This says, I believe, I said the Pledge of Allegiance at City of Coral Springs Commission meeting. And this is for you to wear. And we're going to turn around and get a picture for Dad. And for Mom. Thank you. And brother. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay, Commissioner Vignola, if you can come down. Enjoy it.
Want a mic? Either one. What from there? There's no backup, but you can be right.
Okay,
Mr. Straub, can you come up?
don't touch him, he has a cold.
I don't like sharing. So,
Come
Prin-
over here.
yeah, come on, Bill. Principal Straub has been at Country Hills since 2010 and has been a great leader in our community. Their test scores over at Country Hills are amazing. They always seem to get the best out of the children in the community. And unfortunately, Mrs. Straub, well, fortunately for her, unfortunately for the city of Coral Springs, she's retiring. So she'll be moving to Tallahassee to spend more time closer to her family. But I wanted to bring you here because your dedication to the kids in the community, and I've been to the school and I've seen some of the things that you do, that you go above and beyond the normal job is quite impressive, and the school and the community is definitely going to miss you. And I'm going to go ahead and read this recognition, and it's a special recognition to Kelly Straub, principal of Country Hills Elementary School. Thank you for your dedicated service during 30 years with Broward County Schools. You have seen our schools expand and grow through the years and helped thousands of students along the way. Under your leadership, your students have excelled and continuously earned some of the highest test scores in the county. Your impact on our community is commendable, and we will miss you. And it's signed by the mayor and the rest of the commission.
And you're going to speak for a second, but I really got to tell everybody here, we have a new city flag. And the reason why we have a new city flag is that her second grade class, and Commissioner Semaglia and I went over there, said that we had an old-fashioned old flag. And so we put it out for bid, and we got a lot of people who gave a lot of flags, and we got a new flag based upon your school. Thank you. Now you want to say something.
Thank you, everyone. The new flag, yes. It's bittersweet. I will miss the kids. For 30 years, this is all I've known. You know, children, I go to work, I tell everybody I have 860 children, but I'm going up to be with my one in Tallahassee. I will miss the kids greatly. I came out of college to be a teacher and was sort of pushed into administration, even though at the time, no way. But it's time, 30 years. I want to retire while I can still do fun things and get around. And going up to Tallahassee, where I will continue my work with pediatric cancer patients so that I can stay connected to my little people. And being a cancer survivor myself, I have to help others. So thank you, I appreciate it greatly. So,
God bless you. Come on, let's get a picture.
There it is.
You can say hello to everybody else up here. Not the sick one. And now we got a special treat. I don't think that anybody has won the championship so often. So Commissioner Vignola, if you can call down the charter school girls softball team. Where are they all? Oh, they're there.
I think you just did, Mr. Mayor.
Come here. How you doing? I don't see you working out anymore.
Come on in the middle. It's about you guys, not us. So these are some members of the Coral Springs Charter softball team and their two coaches. They did something great last year, we thought, the year before we thought, the year before that we thought, and then this year they won their 4th straight state title, which is unbelievable. And I'm going to read this here. The Coral Springs Charter School Panthers varsity softball team won their unprecedented 4th consecutive Class 5A state championship on May 23rd, defeating West Nassau 4-1. How many days of rainouts were you guys waiting for that game to be played? What, 5 days or something? Yeah, I was hoping to make it up for the game, but it ended up being played in like the middle of the week or whatever. The game was played at the historic Dodgertown in Vero Beach. The Panthers' 4th straight title puts them in elite company, joining only Bartow, Naples, and Gulliver Prep as the only teams in the history of Florida to win 4 state championships in a row. Even more fascinating, they are the first softball program in the history of Broward County to win 4 straight titles. Charter has won 115 of their last 121 games, the highest winning percentage in the state in the last 4 years. As another year of impressive competition comes to a close, the results have been determined for the 2017-2018 FHSAA Floyd E. Lay Sunshine Cup All Sports Awards. The Class 5A public title was claimed by Coral Springs Charter School, the state champions of small division non-tumbling, cheerleading, and softball. Special recognition goes to athletic director Mike Higgins for his accomplishment also. What is most remarkable is that the Panthers head coach, Mark Montemuro, I'm hoping I pronounce it right, Mark, I try, was just named the state's softball coach of the year by the Florida Dairy Farmers. We can give him a round of applause. So with Charter, this is his 4th consecutive state title, but most people don't know it's his 6th overall as a coach of softball, which is amazing. This is the highest honor for a coach to win statewide. Congratulations to you guys. And would you like to?
Mark, what I'd like you to do is say some words and introduce everybody.
Okay. Paul Gorlick, my longtime assistant coach. We call him the sabermetrician. He's great with numbers and analyzing opponents' weaknesses. We have Taylor here, who, by the way, is an outstanding basketball player. She's going to do cheerleading next year as well, so really exemplifies a student athlete, okay, to a T. We have Christina Arcos, who is one of the best teammates that we have, one of the most coachable kids in our program. And we have Bridget Dunham, a versatile athlete. Her dad's a teacher at the school, and we expect big things from her next year as well. We have a lot of kids coming back, a couple of newcomers. And we hope to set the record of winning 5 in a row, which would be pretty special if we could bring that
real
home.
quick, you know, we like to brag that we win state championships here in Coral Springs, but the cool thing about it is because of some of our athletic programs and the work that you guys do, we have a lot of young folk here that get to go to college for free, and that's pretty awesome. If you could talk about some of the kids this year going off to colleges and where.
Okay, well, we have 3 seniors, and they're all going to be playing softball at the next level. Gianna Bacano, our catcher, who's a 6-year starter, is going to Boston College. She'll have her entire tuition, room and board paid for. Emily Estroff's going to Villanova. She was our pitcher this year, and she has basically everything paid for. And then Eliza LeBoy's going to FIU, and she's going on a scholarship as well. So it's great that we see our kids going on to the next level and doing some fabulous things. And we'd like to thank the city for your support, because the charter school. It's a city school, and you guys are extremely instrumental in our success, and we'd like to thank you for that.
I don't like to say this because the Gators softball team, I think were winners last year, but unfortunately this year, I think it's Florida State.
Who won this year, Mr. Mayor? I was just curious. Yeah, no, I know. I know it. That's good.
Florida State. So anyway, let's read the proclamation.
And this one is to special recognition to Coach Mark Montemuro, Coral Springs Charter School Softball. Congratulations on making history again by winning the Class 5A State Championship for 2018. By becoming the first Broward County softball team to win 4 consecutive state championships, you have joined an elite group as one of only 4 teams in the state's history to have fulfilled that goal. Your recognition as Florida's Softball Coach of the Year is a reflection of your team's outstanding 115-6 record and your hard work throughout the year. And then this one's a special recognition of the Panthers varsity softball team, Coral Springs Charter School. Congratulations on making history and all the same stuff we just said, and it's signed by the mayor and the rest of the commission. I'll give it to you.
Let's get a picture. Come on down here a little bit. Great, guys. You want to say hello to everybody?
Congratulations. Great job.
Larry, stay down here.
Congratulations.
The next 2.
Congratulations.
I'm going to ask the entire commission. Here we go.
Congratulations.
If all the commission come down for the next 2. Clyde or Chief, you want to come on up here? I'm not sick, so take my mic.
Okay, if I could get the honor guard to come down. And before, as they're walking up, I do want to, I owe an apology to our brother firefighters. The police department's not the only organization that has honor guards. The fire department does as well, and through miscommunication, they aren't here tonight, and we apologize for that. They have a fantastic honor guard that participates in many events throughout the city, in particular the 9/11 memorial. They do a fantastic job there. So, you know, Frank, to your guys, I apologize for that. There's a special proclamation, Honor Guard Day. The Honor Guard is comprised of courageous men and women who selflessly serve in law enforcement, fire services, and emergency medical services. All those men who wear the uniform in the Honor Guard serve the community through participation in services for fallen, presentations of color with the honor, and investment in the community memorials. We must show appreciation for the Honor Guard for their service and sacrifice throughout the year. Therefore, we, the City Commission of Coral Springs, proclaim July 1st, 2018 as Honor Guard Day.
We got to redo this because I think there's a lot of women who are in the honor guard too. Why did we only mention men? Did I hear it wrong?
All those who serve.
Oh, good. He doesn't have his glasses on, so we didn't get the women. I'm sorry about that, guys. So anyway, who do you want to be the spokesperson?
I would like Chantel Mears to...
All right, well, we thank, first of all, the commission for recognizing us and making this day for us, and also the members of the team who volunteer their time, because this is basically on our own time, most of what we do, and we just thank each and every one of you for this opportunity.
Let's give him a round of applause. Why don't you come on in a little bit so we can get a picture of everybody?
Come on over. Everybody scoot over.
If you start walking that way, and we'll tell you when to stop. Good.
Yep.
They only
You guys do the
move
front
when
row,
you
we'll do
say.
the back row.
All right, we got too many guys.
How many are here?
Okay.
Stop right there.
How many we got?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys.
I'll go this way.
Well, they got gloves on.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Take it easy. Looking good. Have a good night.
All right. Now, our fire chief. Yeah, let's all stay down here, please. Frank?
If I could have all the members of the fire department come up, please, that are in attendance. Captain, you want to bring your crew up? We can share in this, this moment. We're going to start off with Lieutenant Dominguez-Oltz. Lieutenant Oltz is being recognized for Paramedic of the Year by Broward Health. She's well known for running critical calls in a calm and very efficient manner. Candace leads by example. She's part of our peer support team and actually runs it for us, which is a team that's there to support fellow firefighter paramedics in their time of need. She's also an instructor out at the academy. She teaches with the EMT class, paramedic class, EVOC, pretty much anything that we need to get done, she's always there for us. Lieutenant Oltz was selected 2017 Broward Health North Paramedic of the Year for some of the reasons that I mentioned, but for so much more that I haven't, and we're lucky to have her on our team, so congratulations.
Lieutenant, in recognition of your dedicated service to Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department and to your community, we congratulate you on being named Broward Health North Paramedic of the Year. Your calm demeanor during extremely difficult situations has helped you and your team save many lives. Thank you for your continued service. Signed by myself and the rest of the commission.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why don't you say something? So you didn't think you'd have to speak?
I thought I was going to get away with it. It's been an honor to be a part of this fire department. The city has always been very good to us, and it feels good to give back and to bring home some recognition to our department from the hospitals.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Let's get a picture.
You want to do it all at once?
Yeah, we'll get this picture, and then we'll get. All right. Now.
Next, we have firefighter paramedic Adam Schreiberman. Adam's known for his unshakable, calm, confident, compassion, and efficient demeanor on calls. Adam also teaches out at the Fire Academy, very instrumental in helping us out with any of the classes that we have out there. He also assisted us in our logistics division, always stepping up, as well as the EMS division, helping Chief Cardona and his folks out. He ran a critical call not too long ago where a child was hit by a car while crossing the street. And upon arrival at the scene, he took control, gave very clear and calm direction to his crew, handled the situation at a very high level, and was able to give the appropriate care to that young man. For his leadership, skill, teamwork, and excellent performance on scene, Adam was awarded the 2017 Broward Health Paramedic of the Year.
Firefighter paramedic Adam Schreibman, Broward Health Paramedic of the Year. In recognition of your dedicated service to the Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department and to your community, we congratulate you on being named Broward Health Paramedic of the Year. Your leadership, skill, teamwork, exceptional service on scene are commendable. Thank you for your continued service. Signed by myself and the rest of the commission. You got to say something.
Well, again, it's
you teach, don't you?
yeah, I
You have
teach.
to say something.
But it's, you know, I enjoy working for the city. It's been a joy, especially during my initial education under the direction of Chief Babinick. But again, it's all about teamwork. You know, we're a very cohesive team. And again, I'm very proud of this award, and thank you very much.
There you go. All right, we're going to go picture now. Can we give them a round of loud applause? Sir? Mr. Mayor, sir? What are you doing? Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Yes, Mayor, we have two signed speakers. The first is Richard Bedford, and then followed by Stephanie Pearson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, and City Leaders. My name is Rich Bedford. I'm a resident and business owner here in Coral Springs. On Sunday, January 20th, 2019, our classic car community is banding together to present and raise funds for Meadows Movement. Meadow Pollock was one of 17 victims of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting this past February. South Floridians and really people worldwide have come forward to work towards making schools safer for children and staff, especially since this tragic day in our community. Soon, at a location to be determined, there will be a park locally where families and children can enjoy our South Florida weather and at the same time remember Meadow and all others from this tragic event. We have a close-knit community of thousands of families who own these beautiful classic and custom cars, and it is our hope that the city will support us by waiving any fees that may be required to hold this car show event at the Sportsplex. We anticipate a very successful show, and many, many people have volunteered to ensure that it is just that. It will be a 5-hour program where bands have volunteered to play and entertain. DJs from the car show community have volunteered, and even local businesses here in Coral Springs are anxious to help out where necessary. I have even briefly chatted with our leaders in the Parks and Recreation Department, and they are also excited about assisting with this benefit show. 100% of the proceeds that are earned through car registration will go to Meadows Movement Organization, as well as any donations from t-shirt sales, etc. We ask that the city provide the mobile showmobile, porta potties, and any security that is needed. We understand that this is a cost to the city, so we would like to offer the fees from the 8 or 10 food trucks that will need to be contracted from the city's approved list of food trucks go directly back to the city to help defer some of the cost. Also, we would like to invite our wonderful first responders from the city to participate in the event with a show of fire trucks, and we have worked in the past here in the city with our fine police canine unit as they show a display and discussion of their work in our city. Show hours planned are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. I thank you for your time and hope that we can count on your help in waiving the fees required for this day of cars, music, and remembrance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, who's next?
Stephanie Pearson.
I'm here today, my name is Stephanie Pearson. I'm here today as a longtime Coral Springs resident and representative of the League of Women Voters of Broward County. The League is a 98-year-old, nonpartisan organization that studies and takes positions on issues. We've had a long-standing interest in recycling. We seem to be at a crossroads that defies the normal ups and downs of recycling markets. Despite a state goal of recycling 75% of waste by 2020, recycling is down and landfilling is up. China is not accepting contaminated recyclables from the West because they don't need our raw materials as much anymore, and also because the contamination rate is just too high. There are just too many non-recyclables in our bins: pizza boxes, plastic bags, and food waste. On my street, a few months ago, the recycling truck caught fire because someone had put flammable materials in the recycling bin. And we were told by the police that were stationed there that this has happened before. The League has created a recycling report, which we sent you with some recommendations. We emailed it to you. We believe we need competition. The cities must get together to form a regional authority and work with the county to not only negotiate more effectively with recyclers, but also to create a publicly owned recycling facility and industry that will create recycled products to boost the market. The use of a single-stream system has to be reconsidered. Having at least 2 separate bins is known to result in less contamination. People will stop and think before depositing trash in the recycle bin. We now have very little public education about how to recycle and the importance of recycling. We need a monitoring system and compliance measures which involve both penalties and incentives to recycle and to recycle right. If local governments require that a percentage of their purchasing be recycled products, the market will improve. To reduce waste at the front end, the city can work toward an outright ban on plastic bags and straws, or at least a campaign to educate the public and ask businesses to do the right thing. We can't afford to waste our natural resources and continue to pollute our land, waterways, and threaten wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Any questions? Okay, any other,
There are no other signed speakers.
anybody else out there would like to come up and talk? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to the next item, which is public hearings and special exception for Ramblewoods Square. Mr. Hearn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor, I'm going to read items 5 and 6 together. They're companion. 6 is a conditional use for Ramblewood Square. Item SE 18-04, request to hold quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing to approve petition of MSKP Ramblewood Square LLC for a special exception from sections 212, tree protection and conservation, and 250832.5, standards for land clearing and preservation of native vegetation of the Land Development Code for removal of required native preserve area for redevelopment of the existing shopping center, Ramblewood Square, located at 1201 North University Drive, legally described as portions of parcel J and K. C 1804, and adopt said order. Mayor, the quasi-judicial has been waived, but it's request to have a public hearing, approve, authorize, and adopt. The companion is the conditional use that goes with Ramblewood Square as well. And it's a request to hold a public hearing to approve petition of MSKP Ramblewood Square LLC for conditional use approval in accordance with section 250588 of the Land Development Code to allow a large-scale retail establishment occupying a footprint greater than 40,000 square feet in a fast food restaurant with drive-through in the general business B3 zoning district and located at 1201 North University Drive, Ramblewood Square, legally described as a portion of parcels J and K, Ramblewood South. Authorized City Attorney's Office to draft an order approving CA 1802 and adopt said order. Again, quasi-judicial has been waived. Request to have a public hearing, approve and adopt. Ms. Krolik will give you a presentation.
Julie?
Mayor and Commissioners, I'll do one presentation for both items as well. Mr. Hearn mentioned the request before you is for a special exception as well as a conditional use approval for the Ramblewood Square Plaza, which is about 15 acres at the corner of University Drive and Ramblewood Drive. The existing site includes a Publix and the rest of the plaza, totaling about 146,000 square feet. 69 property owners were notified nearby of the development that they're looking to do. The redevelopment itself would entail demolishing a large portion of the main section of the plaza. The outparcels would remain, and rebuilding the new Publix as well as another small anchor retail tenant. The increase to the site itself would only be less than 2,000 square feet. It's about 1,400 square feet. They would also be redesigning the parking lot in the middle field there, the main section of the parking lot, in order for better circulation, as well as redoing the landscape islands within that area. The request also includes a conditional use for a new restaurant. It's about 2,500 square feet. It's the orange box there fronting University Drive. The stacking for the drive-through will be self-contained within the site. You can see the way the landscape islands have been designed to make sure it stays on so that none of that stacking spills out onto University Drive. I also like to note that the applicant has actually already installed part of the buffer along the east side of the property so that the landscaping that's going to go in there can go ahead and start maturing before the development begins to help the residential neighbors to the east there, create some of that buffer there for them during construction. As with any conditional use such as this, they've submitted a noise study as well as a traffic study. Staff's noise consultant and traffic consultant concurred with both findings of both reports. We've included a couple of their recommendations with our recommendation this evening, which I'll go over in a moment. We find that it does meet the criteria for conditional use approval. With regards to the special exception, I've outlined here the tree stand or the preserve area that they're looking to remove based on the new development. You can see it will need to be relocated based on where the new Publix development is going to go. The tree stand itself is about 3,700 square feet. It is the smaller of the two preserve areas. It's not a typical preserve area. There's not a lot of ground cover. There's not a lot of shrubs. It's just some trees, most of which were even, over 90% of them were either fair or poor condition. So they're definitely going to be mitigating as much as they can on site. They're going to be keeping a vast majority of the perimeter buffering as well. And they'll be installing trees higher than required by code to help offset. Therefore, staff believes they do meet the criteria for a special exception. So we're recommending approval with conditions A through F. Again, these are typical conditions we include with special exceptions and conditional uses such as this, including that the clearing of the preserve area not happen until the building permits have been applied for reconstruction. They mitigate on site to the greatest extent possible, as well as installing new trees higher than required by code. With regards to the conditional use, we're recommending approval with conditions A through I. Again, these are all standard conditions, including a long-term maintenance agreement with the city, as well as ensuring that delivery trucks are not idling adjacent to residential, particularly on the north and east sides of the property, as well as no overnight storage of shopping carts. With that, staff's recommending approval of both items. We're here for any questions. The applicant is here as well for any questions you might have.
Yeah, I understand that the public hearing has been waived. I can't get somebody to
Craig, Mayor. Yeah, the mayor, the quasi-judicial has been waived. We'll just open it to the public, correct?
I guess you have to talk to the judge, but
Look, Mayor, I don't think anyone's here, but
anybody want to say anything?
thank you, Mayor.
All right.
I have a question.
There's a question by Vice Mayor Semaglia.
Just out of curiosity, the retail space next to the Publix, the large unit,
Yes.
have we decided who's going in there?
I don't think
See
we
if the
decided.
applicant-
Don't
decide they did.
Not yet?
If you're
Okay.
ready to announce that yet or not?
What was the question?
Hi, for the record, Christina Belenky here on behalf of the applicant. We still have a couple tenants and no leases signed yet, but we are hoping for a quality national tenant to go in that location.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Daly.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I think you've seen in a couple other plazas across the city as well that are getting a facelift, getting upgrades. I think it's well past time, and so I want to compliment the applicant, the property owner, and everybody that's been involved. I think it's a good project moving forward.
Commissioner Vignola.
Yeah, this parking lot's been terrible since it opened. See them go ahead and reuse this property in a much more user-friendly way, I think is a benefit to the community. And then the beautification of it overall, I think, is a great upgrade, so.
Commissioner Carter.
I just wanted to compliment the applicant as well. I drove back there the other day, and that is a total waste of space. And I think the new configuration will be so much more complementary to the plaza and the city.
Then we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right, moved by Commissioner Vignola, seconded by Vice Mayor Semaglia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Special exception and now a motion for the conditional use.
Now you got to do a conditional use. It's moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Commissioner Daly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, let's move on to item number 7
Thank you, Mayor.
and 8.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. This is very similar it's a special exception and conditional use request, so 7 and 8, as you just said, will be together. This is a request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing to approve petition of Greenspoon Martyr LLP for a special exception from Section 250574-5A, special provisions for shopping center outparcel located at 6201 West Sample Road, legally described as a portion of Parcel R, Turtle Run, and authorize the city attorney's office to draft an order approving SC 1801 and adopt said order. Quasi-judicial has been waived, but we will open up for the public hearing. Approve, authorize, and adopt is the request. The companion conditional use approval is to hold a public hearing to approve petition of Greenspoon Martyr LLP for conditional use approval in accordance with Section 250568 of the Land Development Code to allow a service station convenience store, Cumberland Farms, in a community business B2 zoning district located at 6201 West Sample Road, legally describes a portion of Parcel R, Turtle Run. Authorize city attorney's office to draft an order, CA 18-01, and adopt said order. Again, we'll open up one public hearing for both of those. Quasi's waived. Approve, authorize, and adopt. Ms. Krolik has a presentation.
The parcel we'll be speaking about this evening is about 1.5 acres of the Turtle Run Shops Plaza, which I'm sure you've all noticed at this point is well underway with their redevelopment. Again, this was another plaza that definitely needed a facelift. We were glad to see this come in, and the owners have actually invested over $2 million in the improvements, so we're happy that's underway. The request before you this evening is to develop a Cumberland Farms service station and convenience store. This was a previous location of the credit union, which was demolished about a year ago, and as I mentioned, is about 1.5 acres. With redevelopment of this portion of the site, all the ingress-egress points to the plaza itself will remain, including the new turn lane that was developed as part of the overall improvements last year. The new bus stop that was also reconstructed will remain. That will not be touched as well. Included the elevations. These do match what's included in your backup as well. The top elevation there would be seen from Sample Road. It's the south elevation. Here's a proposed rendering for the site. This would be looking from Turtle Creek, almost at the corner, looking northwest into the property. Again, they did submit a noise study and traffic study. Our consultants concurred with the findings, and again, we've included some of their recommended conditions with our recommendation, and I'll go over that again in a minute. We do believe the request for a service station convenience store meets the criteria for conditional use. With regards to the special exception, the Land Development Code limits outparcel frontage to 33% of shopping plazas. Previously, when the credit union was existing, the frontage was already at about 40%. Having demolished that, with the inclusion of the Cumberland Farms, it would increase that to about 43%. We have been working with the applicant right along through site plan process to help reduce that as much as possible. The canopy even came down from almost 130 feet to about 122 feet. You can see they've tried to maintain the view corridor so that all the improvements they're doing to the new site will still be viewed from Sample. We're also recommending a condition that no other outparcels be included on their property for this site to make sure that it doesn't get to be too much there and doesn't exceed anywhere else. Having said that, we also worked with them. Knowing this is part of the Turtle Run community, we wanted to make sure that this development looked like it belongs there, not only with the existing plaza, but Turtle Run itself. As we all know, it's well known for its increased landscaping everywhere and the mature canopy that's found throughout the neighborhood. They're going to be installing trees well above code requirements. Code requires 12 feet, and some of these trees are going to be as high as 20 feet, especially along Sample Road. The live oaks that they're going to be installing are actually to help replace the live oaks that had to come out to help install the turn lane. Additional plantings such as sable palms and cocoa plums will really help this look like it's part of the neighborhood. And Turtle Run District actually also saw the landscape plan and believe it meets their neighborhood and is okay with the plan itself. Therefore, again, we believe this project meets the criteria for a special exception. And we're recommending approval with conditions A through D, including that, again, as I mentioned, that no additional outparcels be constructed, as well as the conditional use with conditions A through H. Again, these are all typical conditions we typically include with a service station or convenience store, such as limiting truck deliveries, as well as noise, sound improvements as well, and that the larger trees being planted to be incorporated with the rest of the site. With that, staff recommends approval, and we're here for any questions, as well as the applicant is here in case you have any questions as well.
It's open for public hearing. Anybody wants to discuss it? Seeing none, does the commission have any questions? Any
No.
comments?
A lot of nice trees there, and so I spoke with Casey Lee, and after having a long conversation with her, because she loves trees, so I felt a whole lot better that it'll look even nicer.
All right, since Casey Lee has agreed to it, are there any motions?
I'll move it.
Approve.
All right, moved by Vice Mayor Semaglia, seconded by Commissioner Vignola. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, passes 4-1.
Now a motion on conditional use.
Now let's do motion on conditional use. Any motions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Commissioner Vignola. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. Moving on to item number 9.
This is a signed variance request, SV 18-03, request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing and approve petition of Tamara Peacock Architects for a signed variance from section 1808, basic monument sign design schedule, the Land Development Code, relative to the placement of a monument sign located on Turner Road Boulevard, legally described as parcel AA-1, Turtle Run, and authorize city attorney's office to draft an order approving SV 18-03 and adopt said order. Quasi-judicial has been waived. Request to hold.
Very much, and good evening. The estates of Turtle Run have 252 homes in them, and in that area of three blue areas in there. The yellow star there is where the sign is proposed to be located, and we're really just here this evening to talk about the location. It meets all the other criteria except for the fact that it's off-site. So it is located just south of 41st Street along Turtle Run Boulevard. And this is where it could fit, where it would be outside any site visibility triangles. So it's being proposed at this location. As you see there, it's just a few, like 11 and a half feet in from the right-of-way and 27 feet to the subdivision wall, which just recently was built there. This is the looks of the proposed monument sign, which it fits very nicely with the previous sign variance that you approved earlier in the year for Turtle Run Boulevard. And this one is the same brick and the same beige stone that is used there. So as I mentioned, that the size is okay, it meets the code, as well as the planters will meet what's required of that. So that is the criteria really for the sign variances, that it's compatible with the surroundings and expresses the identity. It certainly is a high quality and not overly distracting. So we are recommending approval of it. And they have waived their quasi as well. I just would like to mention the 1B is that the right-of-way consent agreement with FPL needs to be recorded in the public record to issue the building permit. So that's a requirement that we're adding in there. And on number C, we are deleting the language on all four sides because they do have two planters that meet the 150 square feet. So the 5 conditions are being met and they've agreed to. This was also approved at Planning and Zoning Board unanimously. So with that, I would take any questions.
Any public want to talk about this? Seeing none, any questions by the commission?
No.
Commissioner Vignola.
Do we have any other communities like that where there's a sign that says like Turner Run and then again, the estates of Turner Run, like you go by Main to another one?
Well, I think that Pine Ridge has Pine Ridge North and South, and there's different Pine Ridges, like, for example, within the different subdivisions. So, yes, I think
But once you go into it, I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, I think we do.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any motions?
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by
Second.
Vice Mayor Smaglia.
That works.
He said it before you did.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1. Let's move on to item number 10.
This is a signed variance 17-14. To request to hold a quasi-judicial hearing and public hearing and approve petition of Professional Facilities Management for a signed variance from sections 1808, Basic Monument Sign Design Schedule, and 1814, Prohibited Signs of the Land Development Code, relative to the size and type of sign, to allow an electronic message center for Coral Springs Center for the Arts located at 2855 Coral Springs Drive, legally described as portions of parcels B and Canal U, Coral Springs Municipal Complex, and authorize city attorney's office to draft an order approving SV 17-14 and adopt said order. Quasi-judicial has been waived. It's requested to hold a public hearing, approve, authorize, and adopt Ms. Chrisman.
Okay, this one's been a long time coming. Last summer, you directed us to move forward with this, and many details still need to be worked out. We really need tonight to focus about the reasons for the variance, and we'll be also working on details about the sign itself and how it's utilized and how it's maintained and things like that. But the purpose tonight is to get the variance for allowing an electronic message board and the sign area size, as well as the font size within the sign area. So this is located, the existing sign that we have now is located just south of 29th Street on the east side of Coral Springs Drive. And it is this is a picture of the sign that we have now. It's 6 feet 6 inches by 15 feet long. The proposed sign is going to be 7 by 10. The sign area, however, is 4 by 10. Part of the sign variance is that the area can be 32 square feet, and this is asking for 40 square feet. We don't feel that's excessive in any way. So the overall sign and look of it is this. It's also going to have the address put on the side of it as well. Just to let you know what we've been going through with this, the existing sign location there, we had a demo board that was put up, and I hope most of you got to see it. It was further south, almost in the parking lot behind the Center for the Arts, but it was 100 and some odd feet inside as well. It's a Daktronics demo board, which is the type of technology that we really want to be able to use for this, and hopefully we can get that part of the spec into the bid when we do this, because it's a highly quality type of technology, and other types of technology are not quite as good as this one, so this is something that we would like to see utilized within this. This is a few pictures of the sign that's been out there in the back. It's only 4 feet by 7 foot 7 inches. The one that we're talking about again was 4 by 10, so it's going to be a little bit longer. And it will be, of course, close up on the road as opposed to where the location of this is. There is a variety of signs that were provided, signage that was provided for us from PFM, and we noticed that there are different colors that come out better at different times, whether it's night or day. So we will be careful with that when we're training and learning what to do with the signage in order to make it the most legible as possible. This is the demo board in the evening. You can see it's flipping to 3 or 4 different examples. That is a 3% maximum that we're recommending at nighttime. During the day, it's 100% maximum elimination, 3% at night. That's how strong this
That's how it
is.
was demoed?
Mhm. And that was the demo that was 3%, correct?
I noticed it was harder to read at night than it was during the day.
I think when it gets a little bit larger and it gets closer to the road, we won't see that problem, was what we've been feeling. So, let's see, here we are.
Can I just jump in for 1 second? So would we be
Sure.
setting it at, I mean, we could change that 3% if we decided we wanted to go a little bit brighter at night, right? I mean, if you're not actually able to read it at night, once it's actually installed, we can change that, I'm assuming?
I don't know.
After it's been installed?
Yeah.
I'd have to ask the expert. Yes, they're saying yes.
Okay.
Just want to make sure, because this is.
That's what I figured. I just want to make sure that
It's got to be adjustable.
I'm from the body's perspective. I don't want us to only approve it at those 2
Right.
levels. I want to be able to change it if we need to.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it'd be easier to read at night, and it was harder than it was during the day.
And is that just because, Susie, is that just because of the surrounding residential? Is that the idea?
Well, you mean to go how bright it is?
Yeah, at night.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with the environment around it, I'm sure, whatever it is. But you see, I guess back on the one.
The vacant lot across the street right now.
See how it's against the ground
Yeah.
there, how it's lighting up against the ground? I mean, it's really quite strong at 3%. So but we certainly can look at doing something higher.
I mean, the entire point is to be visible, and it's not like it's immediately adjacent to residential.
Could be my eyes.
Oh, it's on the west side of the street.
I
It
mean,
is.
Lusa Maggie will never see it at night. I just want to make sure that.
But the residents on the west side of Coral Springs Drive are right there. The multifamilies right along there.
Sure.
Anyway, let's move on.
Is it on both sides or just the one side?
Just the one side.
Just one
Right?
side?
That's true. Dual side, I'm
Two-sided
sorry.
sign.
That's a
Oh,
very
okay.
good question. I didn't even ask that. Both sides.
My understanding from the city
Yeah.
attorney, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just noticing that the recommendation is that the brightness limits at 3% of daytime
Yes.
limits.
Right now, it is a max, is what
But
we
that's
have it.
part of the approval, but if you want to put unless approved by staff, unless otherwise approved by staff, would give you more flexibility.
Right.
Okay, I just don't want to tie our hands, that's all.
Right, and I agree with that, because this is all new stuff for us, so
Yeah.
it's not a
If you
bad
make
thing
the
to do
motion,
some
just
of
say with
that.
that amendment.
All right, there's a motion to amend to include,
I would move to approve with that amendment, Mr. Mayor, if that's all right
okay,
with
so
you.
you're going to change that in a
Yep.
seconded by Commissioner Semaglia.
Hold on. You could do this motion, but now open to the public and then have your
No,
discussion.
let's do the motion so the public knows what they're talking about. All right, so all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Well,
But you have to have public hearing.
We're not voting yet until you do the,
I'm talking about the amendment.
We're not making the amendment. I would move the item with the amendment included. We don't have to vote on the amendment right now, is what he's saying.
All right,
the way that Commissioner Daley made it was actually to approve with the amendment as opposed to just make an amendment, which sometimes happens, but he was doing the whole motion.
I'll do it whichever way you
the
prefer,
way I
Mr.
did it in the
Mayor.
legislature is we
Yes.
amend and then we vote on the.
Okay, so I would move an amendment.
Okay.
Now you can vote on it.
Now, all in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Now, the ordinance as amended, is there any public hearing on this?
Quite finished with
Just
what
gonna
we
finish
have as
our
our staff
presentation.
recommendation, sorry.
I thought you were
Just-
done.
No, I wasn't
For an
done, I'm
answer.
sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to run through some of the other topics we discussed, so it's on the record, that we did look at these things. Besides the resolution on brightness, we really thought about a lot of different aspects to it, and the distraction to drivers, how often we would limit the number of displays that can go on will be considered as well as we move forward with the details. It doesn't have anything to do with this variance tonight, but we will be looking at that limitation as well, so that it's not flashing real often, too often to be distractive. The maintenance of the sign has been agreed to, that PFM will be doing the maintenance if some of the parcels fall apart or something happens. They will be repairing it in their budget. The content of the signage will be run by the City Communications and Marketing Division. They've, will need some training to do this. They work closely with PFM to be able to tell them what they would like to do, and they could work that out very easily. Commercial messages will be done on a case-by-case basis. There is some limitation. For example, say the production grease came along to the center and they were sponsored by Coca-Cola or something. I mean, we don't want them to have a big Coca-Cola up there for 60 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever. So it would be part of the overall display, and we would work out what that is as well. So these are just some of the details that we wanted to be able to think about and let you know about as we move forward with this when you make your decision. The budget is $90,000, and we intend to try to keep it on budget. The off-site signage would be prohibited on anything else. Other entities couldn't be advertising on this. The site constraints would be that that if you went larger than this, that the actual land, the foundation is going to need some work, and it's something that would add cost to that. That we feel that keeping it this size would keep it within the budget. And it also is, the one we have now sits on the Sunshine Water Control District property, and we never really did anything about that before, just built on it. So this time we figure we should go and let them know that it's on their property, and we would try to do the right thing to make sure that they're okay with it. It's only a couple feet. We don't anticipate any issue with that, but I always like to make sure we do it the way we should be doing it. And so then the next steps really would be to obtain that approval from the district, finalize the cost estimates, and make sure that the size of the sign is what we want it to be. There might be some give and take a little bit on some of this with what comes up with the costs, but basically the 40 square feet sign area is important to agree to, because that's larger than the 32 square feet. And the actual electronic message center itself needs to be a part of the variance, obviously. So we would then go to bid, and we would spec it out as electronics technology, and the City Commission would then award the bid, and the building permit and construction would commence. We would like to have, I'm sure that PFM would want to request now that the fees be waived as well. But Bill Haggett is here, and he can certainly come up and add anything further if you'd like, or you can do your public hearing.
Okay, let's have public hearing on the amended variance. Seeing no public wants to talk, Commissioner Daley, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank staff, both from the center itself and Susie and team. This has been a long time coming, and I want to thank my colleagues for helping kind of nudge it along. At the end of the day, for the public's just edification, we have a cost-sharing arrangement, revenue-sharing arrangement with the center. When the center does well, the city does well. When the center isn't doing as well, the city has to contribute some portion. Sell, the more shows we can bring, the more revenue the property generates. So something like this electronic sign, I think, and my colleagues up here agreed, would be helpful to the center. So I appreciate all the time and effort that's gone into it, and I would, unless anybody else has anything else, I'd like to move the item as amended.
Mr. Vignola.
I have a little bit of a concern of the height. Going out and I saw it when it was out there, they had the truck out there in March or whatever. I saw Bill out there, I was driving by and just happened to see it and stop by. When I went by there at night, you see some of the smaller letters and stuff. Some of the thinner letters got really hard to see. And then if you get a little bit further away, it's a little difficult to see. My concern is, you drive in and the typical, and I have the map here on my screen, you drive into where it was located, we're sitting there, and you get close to it, but not everyone's gonna be that close to it at all times. And so it's 4 feet high right now and 7 wide. Is that the truck?
10 wide.
That's the area.
That's the truck
By
wide.
10.
Right, but then we're gonna keep it the
That-
same height, but we're gonna go 10 feet wide.
It's 7 feet tall, and the sign area is 4 feet tall. I mean,
Okay,
it's on top of each other.
but this is gonna be much a wider sign than what was on that truck that we saw.
Another 2.5 feet.
So just to make it a little even, I would ask to go a little bit taller. To read when people are there, I think, I'm afraid of, with it, some of the letters that have popped up on that screen with the thinner writing, it was kind of hard to read, and the last thing I want for someone to be staring at that to the point where they're looking there instead of focusing more on the road. It should be able to be glance at it type of thing when you stop at the light, see it. And so I'd like to see it go a little bit bigger if we're gonna do it. I say we do it. It's a one-shot opportunity. I hate for us to go ahead and do it and afterwards say, hey, this is a little too small. So I would propose that we do it another foot in height, if that's even.
I don't even know if you can do it.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that
Doesn't that bring up
maybe
the
could
base
answer that, and
issue?
maybe the cost
I
that
don't
would be
know.
associated with
That's
that.
what, yeah. Can we get, Mr. Mayor, can we move it to say up to this height and then let staff decide that? Is that easier? Because I'm fine with what Commissioner
Well, let's
Vignola is
find out if we can
proposing.
do it. Mr. Haggett, could you tell us, can it be done up to 5 feet?
It could be higher. The cost would be an issue. However, what I really wanted to point out was the creative that was put up on that screen was created for other advertising needs, and it wasn't generally created for that sign. In fact, one of the ads that we did, Daktronics redid with a bigger font that you could very clearly see. One of the things that you get when you buy a Daktronics sign is the creative training to kind of avoid all those issues that you're talking about. So I don't know that that's an issue, and going bigger would resolve anything. I'd love it, frankly, but I think that the issue of the small fonts and things were just the creative that was put into use for the demonstration.
Okay, Commissioner Vignola, having heard that,
I would
well, I think
let them
that
come
can we-
back with the cost, and like Commissioner Daly said, I'd like to see it go up to 5 feet, and let's see what the cost is and see if it's workable, but.
I mean, what I was proposing was giving staff the option and being brought on the actual height of the sign.
All
So
right.
that would be my, you want me to amend again, Mr. Mayor?
I guess that's what Commissioner Vignola's trying to do. So is that a motion?
Yeah.
Is it seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Daly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, now, anybody else want to talk on that issue, since it's a new variance? Seeing none, do any of the commissioners want to say something? Okay, everybody having said everything they wanted to say. Moved by Commissioner
Second.
Vignola, seconded by Commissioner Daly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 11, Mr. Hearn.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 2018-101, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, creating Chapter 19 of the Code, the City of Coral Springs, entitled Emergency Management, to provide for emergency management responsibilities, powers, and regulations, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date Mayor, this is a request to hold a public hearing, approve first reading, and set second reading. And what this does is outlines the powers, duties, responsibilities of elected officials, the manager's office, such as who calls states of emergency, et cetera, et cetera. We've always had the policy. This puts it in writing and talks about the termination and really helps clean up the process and make it so we all have it in codified form.
Okay. And Chief, you want to talk about it? Or Alex?
Alex is gonna come up and go over it from the emergency management perspective, and then if we have any further questions, myself, Alex, or Chief Perry can answer them.
Good evening. As Mr. Hearn mentioned, all this ordinance really does is put in writing what we already have in policy. So we're establishing clear lines of who's responsible for establishing a state of emergency in the city, how we can amend that state of emergency in the event that we have that. This also provides some additional regulations for residential care facilities in addition to the ACA ruling this year for environmental control of residential care facilities within the city. And then finally, it creates regulations and makes it illegal to block fire hydrants with storm-related debris. So all this really does is take what we have in practice and put it in writing.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Public hearing.
Oh,
We have to have
sorry.
a public hearing first. Anybody out there want to talk about this? Seeing nobody wants to talk about it, it was moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Vice Mayor Semaglia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. If you didn't see, Commissioner Daley said aye from back there.
Heard it.
Item number 12.
This is ordinance 2018-106, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coral Springs, Florida, amending Section 3-8 of the Code of the City of Coral Springs entitled General Administrative Fees to provide a user fee exemption from municipal complex rental fees for the Coral Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce, providing for conflict, providing for repealer, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for effective date. Again, this is first hearing, this is a request to approve it, first hearing, hold the public hearing, and set second reading. And Mr. Machad, here he is.
Mr. Machad.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This item before you is a follow-up to fees that were established back on September 6, 2017, where the Commission approved a fee structure for use of the meeting rooms here in the new municipal complex. That would be the Everglades Room, the Sun and the Sawgrass Room. The rates approved by the Commission at that time were $100 an hour for for-profit groups and $75 an hour for non-profit rooms for each of those rooms I just mentioned. The code provides no exemptions to the fee, and since the Chamber of Commerce is an important resource for the city, providing leadership opportunities and business initiatives that focus on the city's critical priorities, and is presently an occupant of the municipal complex, staff is recommending that the Chamber of Commerce, as well as any committees associated with the city-sponsored events, be exempt from the fee. And the exact language in the ordinance before you tonight reads, "No fee shall be charged for rental of meeting rooms and/or area rentals by the Coral Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce for city-sponsored events and their associated committees." Staff recommends approval of this ordinance this evening.
This is open for public hearing. First, does anybody want to speak? Seeing nobody wants to speak, do any of the commissioners want to ask questions or
I
comments?
just have a comment. I mean, I would imagine that all of us get asked frequently about renting out the rooms. And I'm sure that sometimes they may think that those fees are not appropriate. But I think the one thing that we need to point out is the fact that it's, meetings run over, there's staff time, there's janitorial services, things like that. So it is to cover cost.
Okay,
I want to point that out.
what do you want to do?
Move to approve.
Okay. Your second? Move to approve by Commissioner Carter. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Vignola. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Moves on to second reading. Hey, Rich, before you leave, just want to tell you, there's a pothole west of 119th Street on Atlantic heading eastbound, and I almost got my tire destroyed in this one.
On Atlantic?
Not on Atlantic. I know it's not our roadway, but this would be the second pothole that the county has not filled. And the last one cost me $1,000 with new tires.
West of 119th on Atlantic.
Yeah, west of it's about 200 feet.
Got it. We'll report it tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, while we're talking about potholes, there's some pretty egregious ones across the street on private property that I'm hoping get fixed, because I think that's pretty embarrassing, in case you're wondering. If anyone wanted to know, it's the property across the street.
Okay. Consent agenda. Anybody want to remove anything? Okay, I hear any motions?
Move consent.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Daley, seconded by Vice Mayor Semaglia. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item number 18 was pulled from the agenda. Item number 19. Mr. Hearn. This is our recyclable.
Yeah, this is a recycling processing services. As you know, this came up at the last meeting. Last meeting, there was some issues.
Mike's off.
Okay, there we go, sorry. This came up at the last meeting. We went back to Waste Management and negotiated some further provisions. One is, oh, Angelo's over here, but I'll give this legal part and you can come on up. One is the most favored nations clause, so if there's any agreement in Broward County that Waste Management enters into, which is substantively better, we have the choice to go ahead and jump on that agreement. And then secondly, it involves the JV, that if the JV comes back or offers, which is the joint venture, offers any other cities the extended 5 years at the same price as we currently had, that we could cancel this contract within 30 days and join that agreement. So it does protect the city in case there's more favorable terms that come out there. So,
And
Mr.
the
Solomon.
third leg of that stool is which was in the initial agreement, was the 120 days cancellation for no cause, which is in there, which gives us an option to walk in with a 4-month notice from this, should a better offer be made available and come to the attention of staff.
And I think 120 days for anything that is better or for pure convenience, but 30 days if the joint venture comes back, it's even quicker.
Any questions?
Go ahead, you go ahead.
No, well,
Well, I have,
there's going to be some discussion on this one.
okay.
I'll hold for discussion.
Commissioner Daley goes first.
I was going to hold for discussion, Mr. Mayor, so if there's a question, that's fine.
Got a question?
Well, it's not really a question. I had a conversation with Tim Bowers from Waste Pro Tuesday, and just his explanation was just, I felt something that the residents should hear about our recycling and where we're going and why we're having all these issues. You did a really good job of explaining it.
Okay. I'll let him speak. Public hearing. Didn't see you over there, Tim.
Got a handout here. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Tim Bowers. I'm the Municipal Marketing Manager for Waste Pro. We're at 3101 Northwest 16th Terrace in Pompano Beach. As Commissioner Carter and I were talking at the
Chamber
breakfast, the Coral Springs Chamber breakfast the other day, we were talking about recycling and what the issues were. And I gave her a brief description of what I thought was going on, and she really liked it and thought it was really good. She asked me if I would speak. In a nutshell, what I just handed to you, part of the reason we're having the issue with recycling is China has stopped buying recyclable commodities from the American recyclers. They said that the materials that they're getting are too contaminated and that they no longer want to buy those. So that means that American recycling processing facilities that are shipping their materials over there are not going to get a return to help pay the cost to process the recyclables. So what does that mean to Coral Springs? How does that really impact Coral Springs? Well, Coral Springs has 3 contracts, one for trash hauling, which is with Waste Pro. You also have a contract for your disposal, for us to take it to a facility. Coral Springs has a contract and tells us to take it to that disposal facility for trash. Same thing with recycling facility, and tells us to take it there. So we take the material that we collect to where your city directs us to take it. So with the recycling is what we're talking about tonight. The recycling, our trucks go down the road, we've got an automated arm collection. So our guy goes down the road, he picks up the blue bin, the arm comes out, lifts the bin up, dumps it into the hopper, sets it down, he goes down the road. He goes right down the road, he collects all these blue bins until his truck is full. So when his truck gets full, then he has to leave his route and he goes to the recycling facility. At the recycling facility, he will dump all the recyclable materials that he's collected on the concrete floor. And at that recycling facility, they've got a little bobcat that moves all this material around. And there is a conveyor belt that's probably 8 or 10 feet wide, a conveyor belt that's moving. It goes up 2 stories high, and the recycling sorting process starts there. So the recycling center has got people doing this, they've got automated equipment, they're trying to separate this material out. When the material is separated, they then bale this material into a bale that's 6 feet wide, 6 feet deep, maybe 4 or 5 feet high. That material is either put on a freight car and shipped to a shipyard, or they put it on an intermodal trailer, which looks like a semi-trailer, that can be loaded onto a freighter. That material then is shipped over to China. So when the material gets to China, the Chinese open it up, they look at it, the companies that are processing it, they open up the bale, and what do they find in what's supposed to be water bottles? They find rubber hoses, they find toys, they find all kinds of materials. So the Chinese are saying, hey, we don't want this material anymore, therefore we're going to stop buying it. They have stopped buying that in the United States to the tune of, they buy about 30% of all the recyclables in the country. So that has sparked the issue with what's going on with recycling, not just here in Coral Springs or Broward, but all over the country. We do not have a recycling processing facility here in Broward, but we have one in Ocala, we have a big one in Atlanta, Waste Pro does, and we're facing the same issue with trying to sell our material. So why is that selling that material so important? Well, those facilities, the recycling facilities, the people the companies that have those have got multi-millions of dollars invested in the equipment to process it. They've got these big, huge balers that create the cubes that they load onto the trucks that sell it out. So they've got millions of dollars of equipment, they got payroll. So what they're looking for is they're looking for that return, that check coming back that says we're paying you X dollars per ton for aluminum, for cardboard, for whatever the material is that they're selling. And so that money has stopped. So what are these recycling processing facilities doing with the material? It's sitting on the back lot. They're waiting to try to sell that because they don't. All the while, there's still more materials coming in because they got contracts with all the cities. So what's happening is the material recycling facilities are going, this is like playing roulette in Vegas, because they don't know if they're going to get the money back to be able to pay their bills for processing and pay their payroll. But also in the past, Broward County cities were getting, I believe it was a $10 rebate for every ton, and now that stopped because the processing facility is costing them a lot more money. So let's come back to Coral Springs. So what is the issue? The issue is contamination. Okay, the material that's going into the blue bins. And that's the issue that we've got to address. I've been meeting with the Public Works team, the marketing team. They've got a program, Recycle Right, and we're trying to educate the residents on what the issues are. Now, as we go through this, one of the things, as the lady said here, okay, what happens, how can we stop people from doing it? There's education, but then what happens if we have a driver that looks inside, he sees a big toy in there, and then he puts a tag on top of that cart. Our driver says, I can't take that, it's contaminated. He pushes it back to the curb. The phone's going to ring. People are going to be upset. So we got to try to come up with a way to work and educate the folks. How are we going to get folks to do that? And I know, I work at the Coral Springs Art Festival. We have a booth there every year. And the Coral Springs residents are rabid recyclers. They're coming up asking about all the materials. Can this be recycled? Can that be recycled? Pop bottle caps, all kinds of things that they're asking. I know that they want to recycle, but there's with the recycling facilities that the city uses, there's only so many commodities that they will accept and recycle. And on the top of the 65-gallon blue cart that we have here, there's a label, and we've customized that label. It says, put this material, this recyclable material in, do not put this recyclable material in. And the reason is that the recycling facilities are focused on the materials that we have listed. Anything that's not on there is not on their focus. It could be because there's not a lot of value in the recycling. It doesn't pay off. You know, for example, styrofoam, if they recycle it, melts it down, a big piece will melt down to nothing, and there's no weight in it. So there are a lot of things that we need, that one of the things we need to work on in the city is helping that. And it's not just Coral Springs, it's everywhere. What can we do to help alleviate the contamination in the recycling bins? And that's what's happening throughout Broward and throughout the United States, is the recyclers are saying, hey, we're getting this, we can't sell it because it's contaminated. The cities are generating it, we need to clean it up, and they're asking the cities and us, we're the hauler, we'll do what we have to do. We'll work with the city to try to identify, you know, the issues. If we, again, some of the options are, you know, it's like tagging them, maybe not picking them up, more education, maybe redoing a label for the top of the bin. We'll do what we need to do to try to clean it up, but in the end, that's where the issue is in the contamination of the material.
Well, Tim, I must tell you that I am also probably a person that didn't understand recycling, because I used to throw, until Commissioner Carter told me, bottles with the caps on. And I didn't realize you're not supposed to put caps out there.
Right, they're missiles.
So,
And you know why?
I think I'm pretty knowledgeable, and I'm sorry for that. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
If you notice, the bottle cap, like on a Diet Coke plastic can, it's a harder plastic than the actual, it's a whole different type of plastic. So you're mixing the cap with the other plastic, so that plastic is a different type of plastic.
Right.
But again, in that particular case, it may be minimal amount, but the caps, and there was a company, I think Commissioner Carter asked me a year ago, a lady asked her about bottle cap recycling, and we did some research, and there was one company that you could contact.
$177 a box, big box.
Yeah, that they would take boxes of them, so we gave the lady the resident that information.
One thing I'd like to point out, because we use the word contamination a lot, and I think when you use that word, people think of chemicals. And contamination, what I think is important for the residents to know, especially in a pizza box has a wax coating, that's contamination. It has the oils from the pizza, the cheese, the oils, that's all the contamination. And it's, you know, so I thought that was important that people understand that, because I think people think pizza boxes should be recycled.
And again, I think what we want to stress is the types of materials that we want is what's on top, that's on the label on top of the blue cart. Those are the materials we'll take, because the facilities aren't processing anything but those materials.
Right.
Well, this is a good issue we should be talking about, but that's not the issue tonight that we're talking about.
I understand, but I felt the public should know why we're having problems with recycling.
And by the way, I found out, we were at a meeting today, that Domino's Pizza will fill in potholes if you call them. So let's call Domino's to fill in all our potholes. Commissioner Daley?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to jump to a couple of the issues that I raised last commission meeting when this contract was before us the first time.
Tim, thanks a lot.
Tim, thank you. I want to thank staff, and I want to thank the folks from Waste Management for coming back to the table and taking a look at this. It is my understanding there are at least two very favorable additions to the agreement, at least favorable for our residents and for the city. A favored nations clause, which says that, as you heard the city attorney mention, that if anybody gets a better rate than we have negotiated in this contract, we get that rate. And also some added protections if and when the JV issue shakes out, and if a court rules or someone finds that we should be able to utilize the terms in that agreement, frankly, to Waste Management's detriment, we can still go ahead and do that. So with that, I do feel more comfortable. You know, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I don't like the situation. I don't think anybody likes the situation in general. I do feel like we're kind of between a rock and a hard place, but our options are either move forward with this contract, spend more money to not recycle at all, which I don't think is in the best interest of this community, its residents, or this planet, frankly, or we're kind of out of options. So I'm confident with the additional provisions that they've agreed to, that we've got kind of the best deal that we're going to get, at least at this point. I did just want to mention, since John Casagrande, who represents LGL Recycling, decided to give me a shout out in his letter that you all have before you tonight, I figured I'd give him a shout out because it's good to know that LGL Recycling LLC, who was one of the partners to the JV, will not consent to the JV's renewal of the contract. I think that's important to note because these were the folks that we chose to do business with a few years ago. But frankly, Mr. Casagrande, I don't really care about your interests or the interests of LGL Recycling. My concern was for the residents of Coral Springs. And seeing as we were going into a contract with Waste Management, who in one way, shape, or form purchased some of the entities associated with the JV, I want to make sure that our residents are protected. So there's your shout out, Mr. Casagrande. Thank you very much. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the agreement.
Well, before you do that, any other comment? Well,
It's not a public hearing.
I know, but I'm going to let her talk. This is an issue. But you
I don't
gotta
know
be
what's
quick.
in the contract specifically, but I guess we're committed to the single stream recycling, the big bin. When the driver comes around, there's one person in the truck, it's all mechanical, he never gets out and looks and sees if there's any problem with the
They
bin.
do, because they did it to me.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Okay, is that a
They
random?
didn't know who I was, but they actually came and said, some of the stuff you have in your recycling
Well, I don't
is
see
not
how
recyclable.
they see that, but, so I just want to, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm hoping that there's something in there that requires the hauler to do more public education and perhaps to do some more monitoring and have some penalties or incentives or something built in there, you know, and the single stream, if we're committed to that. I know a lot about recycling, and I am still confused about the plastic 1 to 3 or 1 to 7, and different cities have different requirements of which number and all of that, so we need a consistent message. The other thing is, I hope the city, separate from the contract, or maybe part of the contract even, considers really addressing the problem of source reduction. Because if we reduce the source, the waste to begin with, then we have less recycling and less garbage to worry about. I'm talking about plastic bags and plastic straws. And also, I think most people who really mean well still don't realize you're not supposed to put a plastic bag in there or a pizza box. So I'm hoping the contract deals with this, and I know you all did the best you could on it, because it's not easy these days, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, I want to put my 2 cents into this issue, and then we'll call for a vote. I'm very much concerned with the politics of this issue. My understanding is when Waste Management purchased Sun Bergeron, that there was an agreement because of antitrust matters that they would agree to allow the cities to have a 5-year extension of the last contract. And I was under the impression, I believe there are documents out there, that sets forth these as principles. I also understand what Tim just told us about the China thing. And I'm sure that they're probably thinking they're going to lose a lot of money if they don't raise the prices a little bit. And I'm also concerned about our citizens, because as Tim has indicated, if you look at my recycling bin, my wife is, you recycle everything. And I think the city of Coral Springs is totally committed to recycling. So we're left with 2 options. And those 2 options are, one, we can just say we're not going to contract and we're going to send everything to landfill, we're going to have no recycling. I think that's unacceptable. Or we can accept the contract as written and thank our legal staff and the subsidiary of Waste Management for agreeing to these two new provisions, which I think are favorable to the city of Coral Springs. And I want the citizens to know that we have a gun to our head, so to say, on a very important issue. It's an environmental issue. And I originally came here tonight and I was going to vote no, but I am convinced that the only way that we can get any potential benefit is to have this contract, which again, I want to thank the legal staff for negotiating. And I want to thank Waste Management for agreeing to negotiate. So, Mr. Hearn, with that, thank you and thank to your staff.
And also staff of the city were very helpful as well. Thank you, Mayor, for saying that.
Mayor, because you raised the issue, can I ask?
Commissioner Daley.
Thanks, sir. Can I ask that the commission also give direction, as you did last time, if you remember 2 weeks ago, aside from kind of opening negotiations again with Waste Management, we also gave direction to send a letter from the city attorney to Sun Bergeron, the JV, and say, you know, hey, we would like to renew, and that was Mr. Casagrande's response. But I would like to say there are other cities, Sunrise, Weston, and others who are looking at their options. Deerfield, who's the city that we piggybacked off of originally, that are looking at their legal options. And so what I would suggest is that this commission give direction to the city attorney's office to monitor that situation, and should there be an opportunity that it's appropriate for us to enter any kind of legal proceeding against the JV or whomever, for that letter that the mayor mentioned that I brought up 2 weeks ago, that we do so, because obviously we want to be part of that, so that we can avail ourselves of the terms and get out of this contract.
Well, that I think is premature.
To monitor the situation, Mr. Mayor.
No. For us on this issue, on this particular contract, I think we can do it after we vote on it. We can ask city attorney to monitor all of these other cities.
Sure.
And between you and me, I was under the impression that that was a done deal, which is why we got paragraph B in here. So.
That's fine. So I'll continue my motion, and I'll make the statement that I just made 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes from now.
All right, Commissioner Daley moves that we accept the contract.
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Semaglia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passes unanimously. Now, Commissioner Daley would like to instruct the staff attorney's office to please monitor the other.
Correct, and Mayor, we are doing that. I will tell you that I've received phone calls from at least 3 different cities who are waiting for tonight and want me to send this contract, and they intend on piggybacking it. There are other cities that may do something different, and we are continuing to talk with them as well. We would love to get the JV back, and if it does come back, we're prepared to do it. Otherwise, we're obviously prepared to work with Waste Management with this contract, and we appreciate them accepting the amendment.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moving on to item number 20.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Carter.
For possible future consideration, maybe in a workshop, I'd like to read this sentence. Boston will join 59 other Massachusetts municipalities and hundreds of others across the nation, including Seattle, Washington, and Washington, D.C., in banning single-use plastic shopping bags by the end of this year.
Okay, but I think that's an item. I went to a restaurant the other day, and they came out and said, we don't use straws anymore. And
For the turtles.
so hopefully they clean their glasses. All right. 20.
Yes, Mayor. 20 is a request to approve the sale of surplus property, legally described as portion of Tract 9, Section 15, Town 48, South Range 41 East, Florida Fruitland Subdivision Number 2 to CSN 15 LLC of Fort Myers, Florida, a Florida limited liability company in the amount of $3,278. And as this commission may recall, this is the other Cumberland Farms by Wiles and University, and the area behind it between there and the residential. We had no use. This is excess property for us, and part of the agreement was we would go ahead and sell it as surplus property to Cumberland Farms, which is CSN 15 LLC, and they are going to dedicate it to the neighbors behind. It's a 15-foot strip of property, which will provide the neighbors with more property for their use and enjoyment, and also keep the buffer there.
They wanted.
Any questions?
I would point out it's for their use and enjoyment because we approved a Cumberland Farms in their backyard, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any motions?
Move to approve.
All right, moved by Commissioner Carter, seconded by Commissioner Vignola. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 21. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard you say aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4-1.
Thanks, sir.
21.
Mayor's road resurfacing and striping with weekly asphalt in the amount of $724,000 is part of our annual maintenance. And Mr. Salamone looks like he wants to run up and talk to you.
The item before you is our annual bid for road resurfacing and striping. This year's resurfacing will be done basically in the Pine Ridge North Subdivision, Westview Drive, between Riverside and University, and Riverside Drive between Sawgrass Expressway and Westview Drive. We were able to afford an additional alternative location because of favorable bid pricing to include the Springs Park subdivision. This is, as I mentioned, something we do every year in the roadway maintenance program that Mr. Mashad administrates.
Springs Park, is that the center of town? That's in the center of town? It is, okay, that's what I thought.
Any questions? Any motions?
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Vignola, seconded by Commissioner Carter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 22.
Mayor, it's a request to renew the Charter School Management Agreement as drafted by the City Attorney's Office with Charter School USA, Inc. for the management of Coral Springs Charter School through June 30th, 2020. The august body of the school board that looks very similar to you approved this at their board meeting, and they're asking you to approve it as well.
Second.
I wasn't there, was I?
Chair, was he here?
Yeah.
Was he there?
Last one?
That's the one I had him leave.
Yes,
No,
correct.
you weren't there.
Anyway, it's been moved by Commissioner Daly, seconded by Vice Mayor Semaglia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? I guess it passes unanimously, even though I didn't hear two gentlemen to my right say aye, but
I also moved it.
Actually, the second.
item number 23.
It was moved.
Mayor, it's a request to consider 3 appointments to the Planning and Zoning Board. There's 3 vacancies. There's 6 applications.
I understand there's 3 positions open, but 6 have applied.
That's right. The ones that are asterisked is my understanding, yeah, they are the ones that are on the board currently.
Any motions?
Don't we have to suggest who we want?
The 3 that are on there are looking to get reappointed.
They
And
have,
we've had no
yes.
problems. They've been doing their job. I move that we keep the same 3 on there.
So
Anyone?
I had a different opinion.
Okay.
I was supporting.
Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Vice Mayor has moved the 3 incumbents, seconded by Commissioner Vignola. That's open for discussion.
Oh, I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Carter.
So I was supporting Ian Schwartz for the continuity and leadership as the chair, and John Dennison for legal expertise, and Rob Dennis for his green lead certifications.
Okay,
Green and lead.
so you're against the 3 incumbents?
Well, okay.
No, it sounds like,
Against one of the incumbents,
Yeah,
she wants to
you have
replace
2
one
of
of
the
the incumbents with
incumbents,
somebody else.
Right. Any discussion?
Motion.
Daly?
I like the motion as is, Mr. Mayor, but if we want to go, is it easier if we go seat by, okay?
Let's vote it. I have a motion, we have a second.
It's been moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Passes, the 3 incumbents are reappointed. Commissioner Daly, you,
Sir.
communications, you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. First, I would point out that the 4th of July celebration is coming up. As you might have guessed, it's on the 4th of July. At 6 p.m., gates open for fun and food and entertainment, and the fireworks will begin promptly around 9 p.m. Parking is available for $3. As most of you know who go, it gets pretty crowded, so please get there in plenty of time. And make arrangements if you can carpool to get there. I would remind everybody that fireworks are illegal within the city of Coral Springs to be personally bought and fired, so please keep that in mind as we go into the 4th of July celebration and festivities. And with that, Mr. Mayor, if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, they can call or text me at 954-778-3304. That's my cell. They can email me at ddaly@coralsprings.org or find me on any of the social media outlets. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Vignola.
Well, I was going to talk about the 4th of July celebration at Mullins Park. That starts on the 4th of July at 6 p.m. at Mullins. I was going to tell people to go ahead and carpool because parking sometimes can be tough, but I'm not going to do that. But what I will tell everyone is this year is going to be a little different 4th of July around the community. We have a lot of people suffering from PTSD related to the Stoneman Douglas tragedy. So besides the fact of the safety and the legality of lighting your own fireworks, for the benefit of some of the kids in our community, I would ask that if we're going to do a fireworks show, come to ours. It's more centrally located, and if people want to stay home and not be around that type of thing, they shouldn't have to deal with those types of situations. And that's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Semaglia.
Scratch off the July 4th, I had that mentioned too. But please, everybody, try to come out and enjoy the evening. Again, I want to thank the military for doing what they do so we can do what we do, and a big salute tonight to our police and fire. Thanks, guys, and that's all I've got.
Commissioner Carter.
First, I wanted to congratulate Commissioner Daley, who'll be honored tomorrow night as the hometown hero by the Broward Lake Cities. And I wanted to invite residents to pay attention to our Facebook page and our social media pages for an upcoming Founder's Day celebration that is planning to be held here at City Hall, and that's July 10th. We're hoping to invite you for coffee and a tchotchke, so stay tuned for additional information on that. And lastly, the Coral Springs Festival of the Arts is looking for committee volunteers. So if anyone likes literary or performing arts or just pretty art in general, the committee would love to have you on their team. And you can reach them by calling me, 954-998-9146. Joy Carter at coralsprings.org. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy 4th of July.
And my only comment is we have a priest in our community that has been priest for 50 years, 33 years at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton here in Coral Springs, which I think is a phenomenal accomplishment in and of itself. And I want to congratulate Father Kelly, who is the priest celebrating 50 years. And that's all I have.
As a priest.
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
As a priest?
No, I thought, I added that in for a reason.
Okay.
Because some people thinking he was there for 50 years. No,
He's been there for 33.
33 years.
All right. Our deputy city manager.
Good evening. I do have one item for you tonight. Back in February, the city executed an agreement with Stantec for financial modeling services. The scope at that time was within staff's approval limit. However, we have talked to you about bringing Stantec back for your future workshops, including one next week. This additional scope does take the value of the contract above staff's authority. So since the work will occur before your next commission meeting, which is July 18th, we are asking for you to authorize an amendment to that agreement with Stantec, which brings the total authorized amount to $50,000.
And Mayor, what we're looking for here is a draft and adopt of the contract. The only thing will change is it was at $39,000, and it will go not to exceed $50,000. So I want to do a draft and adopt, so Mayor, you can sign it. This came to our attention today, so we can have you sign it in the next few days if everyone agrees.
All right, well, anybody want to make a motion?
Question.
Yeah.
How much more is it going to be to have them there for our workshop next week?
It was priced in totality with some of the additional meetings that we talked about, and the estimate they gave us was just shy of $7,000.
So, going forward, I mean, obviously we're going to go forward, but how long is this going to get us through? Because I have a feeling we're going to need them for some other things long term.
This gets us through July, and because the idea is to bridge until the next meeting.
Okay.
And this will get us through to the next meeting, and based on your comments, I have a hunch it may be back.
Any other questions? Any motions?
I'll move. Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Semaglia, second by Commissioner Vignola. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Mr. Hearn.
Mayor, if
Oh,
you've
wait, anything else?
That's it.
Hey, Mr. Hearn.
Mayor, you've heard enough from me tonight, except I do want to make it a point to congratulate Father Kelly. He's done a great job there, and Sunday was a wonderful event, and I want to congratulate him as well. So thank you, Mayor.
We're adjourned.
As I see him on Sunday, so I'll give a shout out.